Last week, I made the observation that Kansas City doesn't have a reputation of being the kind of city where a lot of protests happen. Well, 1 week later and two very large demonstrations later, seems like maybe that's changing. This is the hands-off rally at the Mill Creek Park. We're just off the plaza in Kansas City on April 5th. Another really very large crowd turns out to make their voices heard. A couple thousand, 3, 4, it's hard to say exactly, but I can promise you it has been loud for the last couple of hours. There are a lot of people here. Kansas City is making its voice heard. This is what it takes. This is how we defeat Donald Trump. Collective action, everybody doing their part, coming out, making their voices heard. It's really impressive to see. Let's keep it up.
Shut up and sit down.
Thanks as always to Ken Casey of the legendary Dropkick Murphys for the rallying cry in our open, and Benjamin Tissot for providing the track Actionable. Welcome to the No Kings podcast. I'm Tracy Steele. Coming up in this episode, a challenger emerges to Sam Graves' stranglehold on the 6th Congressional District as hundreds of people turn out to discuss the issues facing our communities. But old Sammy, nowhere to be found. He's once again absent without leave. But first, much more on the hands-off rally in Kansas City. The protesters in their own words.
We don't have any kings here, and we don't need any kings. We like presidents that know something. Not know nothing, know something.
Did you ever dream that we'd have a president who was intentionally tanking the economy the way he is?
No, absolutely not. I always idolize my president, so this is a nightmare. It's like being in the Twilight Zone. And I'm here today because I want to help us get out of it, whatever I can do.
What do you think about this turnout today?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think it's the people showing that we stand together, and we want to get out. We want to show the people our voice.
What's it going to take to turn back the trend that's happening in Washington?
Cool. I wish I knew, but this is a good place to start. All the rights stem from free speech, and we're showing that at least some of us have still got it. They're deporting people with green cards. It's ridiculous over protests, but those of us who have the right color skin should be out here and showing can't deport us all.
What do you think when you take a look at the headlines every day and it's more just absolute insanity? Like, the latest, of course, being the tariffs that are with no basis in reality.
I think it can't last, and I'm hopeful.
You're hopeful?
I'm hopeful.
You think we're going to stop this?
I think we have to stop this. I think America's better than this.
Because, their end goal isn't just to slap some tariffs on things and then sit back, right?
Oh, I know.
They're not done.
Yeah, but we got to show them that the people won't stand for it, because ultimately, it's a country of people. So, we got to stand up for democracy.
Turnout has been way more than I could have ever expected.
You're right here on the front lines, literally on the curb, leading the yells. What do you think about the energy?
Love the energy. I think everyone has really come out, and I love all the signs, and everyone has really come together for a cause that it affects everybody. So, and everyone has their own unique thing that they're very passionate about.
Have you ever seen this in Kansas City before?
Not to this level, no. This is a first for me, and I have been active in the KC community for a long time.
The rally was peaceful and orderly, thousands of people encouraging passing cars to honk and support, but not disrupting traffic in the least. But somehow, There was one MAGA fool who thought he was going to intimidate protesters with his pickup. He failed. I happened to be just a few feet away. He quickly jumped back in his truck, revved the engine, and drove away. Most people at Mill Creek Park had no idea any of this happened. He failed to affect the rally in any way.
I think it's been really great. Seen a lot of people out here. There's been a lot of great representation. Most of all, it's been very friendly, peaceful. Everybody's in a great mood. The only time that anybody's gotten worked up is when a Cybertruck went by.
Yeah, I saw that. Why do you think that is? I mean, things are pretty dark right now in this country. Why do you think people are so, I don't know if cheerful is the right word, but definitely positive today?
Well, I think that the type of people that show up today still have hope. They remember what actually made America great, and we're excited to get back to that.
What is it? What made America great?
The people. It's always been about people. It was never about the people that were in charge or the leadership. It's always been about, the masses.
Being a melting pot, diversity, everyone being welcome.
But, I mean, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, why shouldn't he be in charge?
I don't think I can even dignify that.
But obviously that's their logic, right?
Yeah.
He who has the most money has the most power.
Sure, but that's not how this country was founded. That's not our ideals.
Where do you think we go from today?
I think we keep showing up. I think that we don't stop letting our voice get heard, and hopefully that this is the first of many where we just keep showing up and letting everybody know.
What do you think the biggest issue facing us right now is?
It's hard to know where to start because there's a lot, but I feel like basically there being a coup, people taking over the government and trying to do things that are illegal based on the rules we've already established.
I also think one of the biggest things that we're facing right now is how many things we're facing right now. Everything is getting thrown at us so rapid fire. The courts can't even respond fast enough to keep people in check. At some point, rules of contempt or something's going to have to come into play. Either that or the international stage gets involved and somebody helps out, I guess.
That's been his strategy from the start, though, right? I mean,
To overwhelm.
Shocking up.
The great political innovation of Donald Trump was you don't have to worry about scandals if you just throw a million scandals at everyone.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about controversial policies if you just throw a million controversial policies at them.
Right.
So how do we combat that?
I think we have to stay focused, not let ourselves get overwhelmed, and stay focused on the most important aspects. So like I said, like people taking over and trying to do things that are inherently illegal and keeping with those systems. We have judges that are ruling against these things, but we have to stay strong and keep with it.
What do you think is an issue that we could champion that would take things in a positive fashion instead of being in opposition to Trump and Musk and what they're doing, but rather flip it and say this is what we're for? What do you think that issue is that could bring people together?
Unity, working together, being a community, especially being involved in your local community, getting to know your neighbors, and supporting each other. If you're there to support your neighbors and they're there to support you, we can make it through so much more whenever all of our voices are heard together.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think one of the biggest things to affect change is when people know the people that are being affected. And the more that we get together with each other and the more that we see the actual strife that people are going through, I think that that's going to encourage people to get more excited, more activated. We were just talking this morning about one of the biggest problems with people getting deported is they've been so afraid and they've isolated themselves because they were afraid of getting deported. And now people don't even know they're getting deported because nobody knew who they were in the first place. And so the more we get to know each other and do that mutual aid and, just get out there, I think it's going to be a positive impact.
If Donald Trump were standing here instead of me, what would you say to him?
Go home, dog. Like, you ain't doing anything for anybody. You're making everything worse. Whatever you're trying to do with this third term shit and all, just go home, wrap it up, move on. I don't know.
Do you think that's true though? Do you think he's not doing anything for anybody?
Well, he's doing a lot for his friends, his rich buddies, the billionaires and all that. And all those people who probably want to start some sort of weird dictatorship and they all have their own opinion on what's going to look like. I don't know, man.
There's got to be some motivation for this insanity, right? Like, you look at what he's doing, and it's like, well, why would you want to send the country into a recession? But that's what he's doing. So, what's the goal? What's he trying to do?
He probably works for Russia.
That's one thing, Putin does want to do it. Mess the country up. Create a power vacuum, and then somebody is going to try to take charge. I don't think it's going to be him. I don't think he really knows what's going on. But somebody is in charge, and they have some nefarious goals for sure.
It sounds insane, right? I mean, it sounds like the sort of thing that a crazy person would have said 15 years ago. But today, when you look at what he's doing, it doesn't seem so insane anymore.
No, yeah, we thought it couldn't happen here, but we ain't unique, so really.
To me, that's one of the themes of today. There's so many flags flying. People here are patriotic, but protesting. And can you explain a little bit what you mean by your sign?
Well, I don't think that there has to be negativity involved with this. I think that we should focus on the positives. And I feel so strongly about this because of how patriotic I feel, how much I love this country. Also, my father was in World War II, and all of that. And I feel like I'm standing for him here with the attack on our vets and with the attack on all our basic freedoms. I just feel like this is the best way to say, I'm a patriot. We can do this too. We can take our country back by just the love of the country.
How do we do it?
Well, hopefully these types of things will make a difference. Hopefully we barrage our senators and Congress people with phone calls and letters and whatever it takes to get them to pay attention to us. We're their constituents. We're supposed to be the people, for the people, by the people, of the people, and we want representation.
Where do we go from here? Today was great. The energy's fantastic. But how do we turn this into action?
Well, we keep up the fight, doing protests, making phone calls, writing letters, and encouraging other people to stand up in the ways they can too. I do think it makes a difference. I hope it makes a difference when their phones and voicemail are full of people who know that this is just the wrong way.
We're joined now by Shania Crowley, one of the organizers of the Hands Off Rally. And Shania, thanks for joining us on the No Kinks podcast. I from my perspective, I thought it was a really great event with tons of energy, but I wanted to find out what you thought.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tracy. Yeah, I think it went wonderfully. We're a little bit of a mad dash to get things put together, but you know what? The turnout was great. The energy was amazing. And, a little hiccup here or there, but for a rally of that size, I mean, everything went wonderfully. I mean, because it was easily 3,000 to 5,000 people somewhere in there. And
wait a second. No, the Kansas City Star said hundreds. So they must be right.
God, I know. Don't get me started. ABC News is the only one that got it right. Because here's the thing. We've done protests there over the last few weeks, and we filled the entire horseshoe there at the end of the park. We filled across the street by the tennis courts, by PF Chang's, by Cheesecake Factory. We filled every corner of that intersection area on the plaza, and that's irked me a little bit. But
yeah, me too. I thought, come on, you go out on a limb and be realistic. It's frustrating because my background is in local journalism, and I know exactly what's going on there. They're afraid of the people who are going to post comments and call into the newsroom and say, there weren't thousands of people there. Anyone who was there knows how large that crowd was. And everybody who wasn't there sees that headline, and then it's easier for them to dismiss it, which is unfortunate. What about all of the video we've been seeing from around the country?
It's been amazing. It's been wonderful. It's been this growing wave that we've been seeing, and it's been growing and growing and growing. And you love to see it everywhere. You're seeing it in red states, you're seeing it in blue states. And, even the statewide protests for Pride that happened in Missouri not long ago, there were protests down in West Plains and Dexter and like all over the place across the state. And so we're seeing this activation from coast to coast, north to south, border to border, and it just keeps on growing. And I think it's going to keep on going because we've even seen this with the police response, right? One of the KC protest actions that I was helping out recently with, and also the statewide protest for Pride, the police showed up and actually told us to, asked us to stop marching in the street. And you know what? 7 cop cars showed up to one of those events. And that was the first time I've seen a police reaction that large by KCPD since George Floyd. And so, even the police, they see what's coming. They see this movement growing. They see this movement rising coast to coast. And, you hear the Trump administration, talking about martial law and things like that. And they see where this is trending too. The people are activated. The people are in the streets. And, we are a hair's breadth away from hitting that magical 3.5 percentage point of activation of the populace that overturns dictatorships. And we are rapidly approaching those numbers.
Got to keep at it and keep working. Thanks so much for all the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
There is a new challenger to Sam Graves. Josh Smead, an architect from Liberty, has announced his candidacy in the 6th Congressional District. We hope to have Josh join us in a future episode of the No Kings podcast. He was among about 200 plus people who attended a town hall meeting in Liberty Thursday night. The keynote speaker was Jess Piper, the executive director of Blue Missouri and a leading advocate for Democrats in rural Missouri. You can find her work on Substack and at bluemissouri.org. By the way, Sam Graves has represented the 6th Congressional District for the past 24 years, and it has become nearly impossible for his constituents to speak with him directly. He never shows up. He never comes back to the district for public events. He was definitely not in attendance in Liberty on Thursday. The group Do Something Mo is growing and growing. Saturday morning, about 45 people came together to form a Clay County chapter of the group. Do Something is a grassroots public service organization several of us formed about 2 months ago when it felt like there wasn't enough of a cohesive response to what Donald Trump was doing. Now, the idea behind Do Something is pretty simple. Trump and the Republicans, they're slashing programs people depend on to stay alive. They're firing tens of thousands of hardworking federal employees. They're sending our economy into a tailspin. We, on the other hand, just want to help our neighbors weather the storm. Our first major project is Saturday, April 19th. Come join us at English Landing Park in Parkville. Bring a donation of unexpired, non-perishable food items. We'll collect the food and deliver it to SPEAC. That's the Southern Platte Emergency Assistance Center. Simple as that. Neighbors helping neighbors. The food drive starts at noon on April 19th and it ends at 3. Again, that's at English Landing Park in Parkville. I hope to see you there. Search Do Something Mo on Facebook for more on what we're doing. I'll let you know how the food drive goes and have more on our next project in our next episode. That's episode 2 of the No Kings podcast. My thanks to Shania Crowley, all of the protesters who took the time to speak with me at the Hands Off rally, and most importantly to you for joining us. Please subscribe, let your friends know about the podcast, and maybe suggest that they take a listen as well. Let them know what we're doing. I'll see you next time.